Alright guys, I'm going to show you how to create this animation where you have something that's circular rotating and I have it sliding back and forth just because you might want to use that in your obstacle course. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new document. I want it to be an HTML5 Canvas, 30 frames per second, 1280 by 720, and that's just standard video, and I can hit create. Okay, so once I have that created, I'm just going to go ahead and call this my wheel. And then I'm going to go ahead and actually draw that circular wheel that rotates. So my fill color, I'm going to set this to none. My stroke color, I'm setting it to black. I want my stroke size to be about 10, that way I can see it. And I'm using my oval tool, and I just left click and drag, and I can make it whatever size I want. I'm going to use my line tool, and I actually extend it beyond the circle because sometimes Adobe Animate doesn't register. If I hold the shift key, so make this circle that's spinning, I'll make it go across the circle just because otherwise sometimes it won't fully close off. It's kind of hard to see this. And I'm going to use my paint bucket tool, and I'm going to start filling this in with these colors here. And I'm going to just switch it so each section is a different color. It makes it easier to know that the rotation is occurring. And then a yellow right here. So there's my wheel right here. And I'm going to click on my layer wheel, and everything should be selected. I'm going to then use my selection tool, right click, convert to symbol. I'm going to call it wheel. Keep it a graphic, registration and center, and I'm going to hit OK. Alright, now I'm going to start building some of those other pieces that I need. I do want to color my background, so I'm just going to call this background. I'm going to left click and hold and drag it below the wheel, and now I'm going to fill this with a blue color. I don't want a stroke. I'm just going to use my rectangle tool, and I'm just going to make this really kind of big. I'm hitting Control or Command, plus or minus, and then I can use my transform tool, and I can just scale this larger. That way, if you want to scroll it across in the animation, it's easier to do this. And I'm going to right click. I'm going to convert it to symbol, background. All right. Then what I'm going to do is I have my wheel. I have that converted as a symbol. And then I want a platform or stand for this. And I want it to be a separate layer. I'm going to call it stand. I'm going to fill it with a black. I'm going to use my rectangle tool. And I'm just going to make it. And I want to extend it a little bit longer. I'm going to click on the layer, left click on it, left click on the layer, then everything's selected, right click on the object, convert to symbol, and I'm just going to call it stand. So if I want to actually do any tweening with these, I'll have it done. The next one is platform. Okay, so my platform, I'm going to use my rectangle tool, grab it. I'm going to make this a lot longer, so it's going to go off the stage. And then I'm going to maybe fill it with another color. You can see it a little bit better. Left click and drag. I've got my platform. So if I left click on it once, everything is going to highlight, right click, convert to symbol, platform. Okay, so now that's a symbol. I'm going to hit Control S. It's going to ask me to save it, and I'm just going to call it obstacle 1 animate file, which is .fla, and hit save. Alright, so now I've got this here, and now I want to actually animate these. So my wheel, I'm going to left click once, and then I'm going to double left click, and I'm going to go within that symbol's timeline. I'm going to call this wheel. Okay, so I'm going to stick a keyframe probably at 5 because when it rotates, it's got to look like it's going at a decent speed. So I'm going to right click, insert a keyframe. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit modify, transform, and I'm going to rotate it 90 clockwise. And then I'm going to go to 10, right click, insert keyframe, makes a duplicate, modify, transform, rotate 90 clockwise. I'm going to do this to 15, insert, keyframe, modify, transform, rotate, right? Okay, so now I've got about 15 frames, and I'm just going to let them repeat over again. This is where I'm going to actually do left click once, and then right click, create a classic tween. Left click once between the keyframes, right click, create classic tween, left click between the two keyframes, right click, create classic tween. All right, so then when I go back to my main timeline, go to scene, and then right now you're not going to really see anything because it's only one frame, okay? Now what I want to do is I want this platform to move up and down, okay? I'm going to double click on it, okay? And then I'm going to, I see the platform, I'm going to call it platform. And all I got to do is I'm going to say probably at 30, I'm going to right click, insert a keyframe, and I'm just going to move it. So it's up to you to decide do you want to move it up or down, and I think I'm going to move mine down. So within that distance and that number of frames, it's going to move down. And then right now I'm going to create a classic tween between those right there. So now when I go to my scene, okay, two of those things are animated now, and now I'm going to go ahead, go to 30, hold my shift key, and I left click just to highlight it blue. Hold my shift key and left click again. All of the frames are selected. Right click, insert keyframe, right? So now, should I put the loop on and then I make it loop all the way? It should cause these things to move. So they're going to move up and down. Now, if I really wanted to be that particular, I could just kind of do the opposite on the platform, because right now it looks like it's kind of jumping a little bit. I could make it smoothly move back down. But now you can see, and I could have another platform showing where my stick figure kind of crawls up this, rotates on that, jumps on here, and then jumps out. Okay, I'm going to pause the loop, take the loop off. So now what would I want to do if I actually wanted to move, like kind of like where they call it like parallaxing in video games, when the background moves as the character moves through it. To do that, all I have to do is I have to go to frame 30, hold my shift key, grab all those keyframes, and I'm just literally going to move it. And I kind of want to hold my shift key. I want to just move it off like that. And then all I have to do is I could hold my shift key, select all of these, right click, classic tween. So now I'm going to put the loop on it. I'm going to play it. See? So now you could have that parallax and your character can kind of like roam through that. And then continue to the next obstacle. Okay, so I'm going to pause that. So, and if I want to slow it down, I'm going to hold the shift key, grab those last set of keyframes. Maybe it's for 2 seconds. And then I drag this out and then I play. And that's probably realistic. That's a little bit better. I feel like the other one was way too fast. So probably 2 seconds to 3 seconds, depending on, here, let's pause it. Let's move it further, advance it. Let's see what 3 seconds is like. That might actually be better. I'd probably say 3 seconds. So I'm going to pause that. And so that's how you change your timing on this and your spacing. If you add more frames, then it's going to really go ahead and slow things down. If you remove frames, it's going to speed things up. So that's how you're going to get that part of your obstacle course done. Make sure you hit Control S to save, which I'm going to do one more time before I stop recording.